Okay, lesson number 6 is problem solving with polynomial products. So it's just taking all the stuff that we've done in lesson 4 and 5 and creating problems that you can solve. And how would you go about solving those problems? So the area of the given figure can be written as a trinomial in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Determine what those values are. So, how would you do this? How would you find the area of this shape?
You can split it up into different parts.
Okay, what parts would you split it up to? What shapes would I want to use? Would that work?
Yeah.
So if I found the area of this shape here, we're going to call it number 1. I could find the area. How would I find the area of this shape 1? Pardon?
Length times width.
And what's the length?
3x plus 6.
And what's the width?
2x plus 3.
So if I calculate the area of that, so when I go to multiply this out, what do I get when I multiply it out? Okay?
6x plus 2x.
Okay. So then I can collect my like terms, and I have 21x's plus 18. And then I have this shape here. I'm going to call it shape number 2. Does anyone know what we call shape number 2? What the name of that shape is? It's a shape that we don't see very often, which is why you might not be familiar with it. It's called a trapezoid. Okay. A trapezoid has opposite or a pair of opposite sides that are parallel to each other. So these two sides here are parallel to each other, but these two sides aren't. In a trapezoid, we can calculate the area of a trapezoid. The area is equal to the height times, we call it A1 and A2 divided by 2. So just quickly, the explanation of where that comes in. If this is my trapezoid, what I can do with my trapezoid is I can split it up into 2 triangles. The area of each triangle being 1/2 base times height. So my height is the same for both triangles. And if I call this my first base and this my second base, I get 1/2 h times A1 plus 1/2 h times A2. And because the 1/2 and the h are common to each of them, I can take it out and add these 2 together first. So it's kind of an explanation of where the formula comes from. So now if I go to calculate, or to use this trapezoid, I need to find out the measurements here. Well, what do I know about this measurement here?
X plus 4.
X plus 4, because the tick marks tell me it's the same as the other one that's indicated. I also need to find out what this measurement here is. How can I find that one out?
Subtract 2x plus 3 from 4x plus 9.
Okay, so 4x plus 9 minus 2x plus 3. What do I get?
6 x. No. No, subtract
2x
2x
plus
plus 6.
Okay? And then I need the height, the distance between the two sides. So how would I find that?
3x plus 6 minus x plus 4.
And what would I get?
2x plus 2.
So this says I take the height, which was my 2x plus 2, times, so then I'm going to add these two sides together. 2x plus 6 and x plus 4. Oops. That is multiplying. So if I take 2x plus 6 and I add it to x plus 4, what do I get?
3x plus 10.
And then I'll divide that answer by 2. So if I go to multiply the top out, what do I get when I multiply the top out? X squared, then what? Plus 20x.
Plus 6x.
Plus 20.
All divided by 2. I'll move some of these things over here. This I'm going to move up there. This I'm going to move over here. So then I've got 6x squared plus 26x plus 20 divided by 2. So divided by 2 means I basically take half of everything. So what's half of 6x squared?
3x squared.
Half of 26x
13.
and half of 20? So then my total area is the area of the first part, which is 6x squared plus 21x plus 18, added to the area of 3x squared plus 13x plus 10, which equals how many x squareds?
9.
How many x's?
34.
And what's the constant?
20.
So the value of A is 9, B is 34, and C is 28. Part B asks to calculate the area if x is equal to 2.5. So I take my area, this value right here, and wherever I see an x, I substitute in 2.5. So I'm going to let you do that calculation with your calculators and tell me what you get for a final answer. Like missed the whole question. If I get a negative answer, should I recheck things?
Yes.
Yeah, because I can't have negative area. So I want to make sure that this answer is positive.
What if you couldn't have
You can't.
Technically can.
interstellar?
The bank's taking your area.
The bank's not taking your area. You do not have negative area. What is my area?
You watched the movie Interstellar?
What?
So again, if we look at this question where we started off with, we have the rectangular garden. We calculated the area of the rectangular garden. That was what I did in black. And then the 3 squares. The area of each square ends up being 4a squared plus 20 plus 25. Multiplied everything by a negative 3. That's what this is here. And then collected my like terms. So one last question. The hypotenuse of a right triangle is 5x plus 5 centimeters long, and the lengths of the other two sides are 4x plus 8 and 3x minus 5. Form an equation and solve it to determine the lengths of the 3 sides. So I have a right triangle, so I'm going to start by sketching a right triangle. Now we will label the right triangle. So how do I label it? What do I start with? The hypotenuse, and where do I find the hypotenuse? The longest side. And then the other two sides, the 4x plus 8 and 3x minus 5. Does it matter where I put them? Nope. So I have a triangle, I have it labeled. Now what can I do? What do I know exists in that triangle relationship?
Angles?
Do I know what the angles are? No.
Oh, you know,
Pythagoras theorem. What's Pythagoras theorem? So that means 4x plus 8 squared plus 3x minus 5 squared equals 5x plus 5 squared. I'm going to give you a piece of advice. 2 pieces of advice. First of all, make sure you put brackets around each of those expressions. So I would ask that you write it this way and not like that. Because if you write it without the brackets, you might later look at it and think that you only have to square the 8. The next thing that I would ask you to do is I would ask you to rewrite this line. Actually write out the expression twice. Why do you think I'm suggesting that? Easier to understand, and you're less likely to remember that when you're doing this distributive property, the 4x has to multiply by the 8. It's not just 4x and 4x and 8 and 8. So with that said, I want you to do the next line on your own. Do you have this line? Oh, right, sorry, 16x squared. So the answer would be no, you don't have that line because mine was wrong. Does anyone see a pattern with my middle terms here and how I could use these to find that middle term? I think I talked about it the last time. To get 64x, 4 times 8 is 32 times 2. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15 times 2. 5 times 5 is 25 times 2. Because when I multiply this out, I get a 25x and a 25x, a negative 15 and a negative 15, a 32 and a 32. So you could skip that line in between where you have the 16x squared plus 32x plus 32x. So now, let's see, I've got 25x squared plus 34x plus 89 equals, and I screwed up on this one too, didn't I? There should also be a 25x squared. Sorry about that. What's going to happen to my 25x squareds? They're going to cancel each other out. If I have 25 on this side and 25 on that side, they cancel each other out. So now I have 34x plus 89 equals 50x plus 25. My goal is to get x by itself. So I need to move one of these two x terms. Which one do I want to move, the 34 or the 50? Okay, so how do I move the 34? Divide. Take 34 away. 34x is away. So what is 50x minus 34x? Now what?
Subtract 25.
Okay. And what is 89 minus 25? And final step.
Divide by 16.
And what does x equal?
4.
Is that the answer to my question?
Add the length of the 3 sides of the triangle.
Okay. So the lengths of the sides are. So I have 4 times 4 plus 8. What's 4 times 4 plus 8? How much? 16 plus 8?
24.
And then I have 3 times 4 plus, or sorry, not plus, minus 5. What's 3 times 4?
12.
And
7.
12 minus 5 is 7. And then 5 times 4 plus 5. And I could check this. 24 squared plus 7 squared, what does that equal?
625.
And what is 25 squared?
1,000. Or
625. So I could check this. Okay, your questions are... Question number 2, number 6, 7, part A and C, and 9, 13, 14, and 15.